Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us.
Well, let's not talk about Brittany. I don't talk about it.
Birthday,
So,
Muddy River News. We're 4.
wow, you
I knocked that right out of the park.
You don't sing like,
Listen,
for a living or
Listen.
anything, right?
She does a pretty good job.
I don't sing, I don't dance. Correction, I don't sing well and I don't dance well, but I do both and I love both. So there we go. I just
Okay.
graced you guys with a beautiful rendition of the happy birthday.
It was beautiful. Sure.
Either way, you know, the thing to grasp from that is we're 4 years old. That's
Yes.
outstanding.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I wrote a little something on the site this week about that, and it's not a milestone or anything, but we're still so young compared to all the other media outlets. And Jim Rapp, my business partner in Muddy River, was like, "Were you gonna write something about our birthday?" And I'm like, "I guess," and so I did. And again, my next year's 5, and but again, I think it's I hope we've made an impact in the community. We have a great team here. You were here from the beginning. You were here from almost the beginning. I was the beginning. I was the alpha. I was the
Yeah,
omega.
we saw that one going.
So
All hail mighty Bobby.
but no, but then David was here from the beginning as well, and we put together this really good team, and it's grown, and the readership has grown exponentially. The revenues are growing well too. As Jim likes to say, he believes we are successful. We're just not yet profitable, but we're getting there, and I think it's going to happen this year. We got some
What is
great
it?
stuff.
Most businesses aren't profitable within the first 5 years.
No.
Yeah.
not
So
at
we're
all.
doing all right.
And I think if you'd have gone back and 4 years ago, you'd have asked me, what do you want Muddy River to be 4 years from now? I
You were like still around.
alive,
Yeah.
with a pulse.
Yeah.
Me not having to like work and cover everything and write every story and do all this. I wanted to build a team because I tried this once before, many years ago in the late 2000s, to do an online
What was it? Quincy News?
QuincyNews.org.
Yeah. I followed that religiously.
And
It's on your cup.
it is on your cup. Yeah, it's an old Q&O cup. Yeah, the blind pig. Neither
Yeah.
of which are no longer here.
Right.
So we did that, and I worked a lot, and it was pretty much just me. And then I moved the operation over to Star Radio, so I would have some help, and they were a great help in terms of staffing, and I didn't have to cover every meeting, and their sales reps would pitch in and help with some ad stuff. I learned a lot, because I think that entire process was probably 8 to 14, 15. It was 7 or 8 years. So I learned a lot, and I learned the mistakes I made and tried not to replicate them. So I think what we've done here, we've been able to grow and do a lot of things and learn what to do and what not to do. For example, while we have become really intensive with doing the video stuff, one thing I don't think we're going to do is stream the high school ball games, because that is incredibly labor intensive. It just takes a lot, and I think it would take away from what we're trying to do. And I think the schools are trying to do their own thing. The guys in Pike County and out in Adams County do Central Illinois Sports. They do a great job. So I just don't think that's something we want to go in. We have a good sports department. I think we're gonna make it a little better this year. And I just look at it as the growth has been solid, and I don't think we've tried to do too much too quickly.
I think we have to stick to our strengths until we're, till we're almost perfect at them, which is kind of an unattainable goal. But what do you know our numbers now? I mean, of course we started at 0, but what do we look like now as far as, let's even talk social media numbers. How many followers do we have?
28,000 followers on Facebook, usually 1 million page views a month, and
Yes,
Brittany was the
girl.
architect of our Facebook.
Yes, toot your own
And,
horn.
like I said, she's been here from the get-go. Again, you came in shortly, and we were trying to do the Daily Muddy in there in a little
Sure.
closet.
I feel like we should go back and revisit one of those. It would be
I've still got one.
hilarious.
I've got a couple of them.
Oh my God.
I've got a couple of them.
What a nightmare that was.
We should do a throwback where you just do a Daily Muddy sitting in there. That'd be great.
I think he had me do one before you,
Yeah.
and it was a sweat box.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm always
You
saying
sweat a lot.
But I
sweat a
think
lot,
it
but
was,
I was like, not for
it's
me.
so hard because, I mean, I think everybody knows that I have a quote-unquote day job. Like, my career is, marketing stuff. So when you invited me to come on board, it was to do this idea of kind of like a daily show where I'm coming in and kind of making it fun and kitschy, and but I didn't have time to write my own
Right.
stories.
Yeah, it needs-
So I
it
was
needed to be in your
reading,
voice.
yeah, I was reading what Bob was writing for me, which was great stuff, but it, of course, you could tell it wasn't from me. And then, hard-hitting stuff like, I remember a Pritzker story, and I was like, oh my God, this isn't what I think at all. But I didn't have time to write my own thing, so I basically just had to ad-lib, and at that point I was still nervous and didn't really know what the vision was. So you, thank goodness, were flexible and adaptable
Yeah.
and let me kind of move into
you
my
do a great
strengths.
job. We started having the interviews on there, and like you do a great
Yeah.
job of just hanging out and talking to people. Let's just have you just do that.
Yeah.
And that's what it turned into. And then Brittany started out just writing, and she's a great writer.
Fantastic
but
writer.
she's learned that you make more money in sales than you do writing, and so she's gone and she's done a great job with sales and incorporating her on-camera skills into doing some fun videos that you
Yep.
both do a lot of together. You guys work incredibly well together. It's a lot of fun. And
Laverne and
very fun.
Shirley.
You
Right.
are Laverne and
We're the
Shirley,
best.
or Thelma and Louise or something like that.
Listen,
So.
yes.
I've called
Don't-
you Thelma and Louise on more than one occasion.
If you
Not
think we won't
so
drive
kidding.
this car right off that ledge, you are wrong. No, I'm kidding.
So it's been again, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of hard work, and but again, I said I can't do it without you guys and everybody else on the team who makes it what it is, and I'm very excited about the future. I come to work on a lot of people dread Mondays. I love coming to work on Monday.
Speaking of Mondays, our Monday guest came in and kind of gave us a little bit of validation. She said that she knew she had made it because she was invited to come to Muddy River News. And thank you. I won't
nice.
name names because the cameras weren't rolling, and I don't know that she would want to say that on camera, but it felt really good, and I hope that everybody who sees what we're trying to do appreciates it at least some of the time. Of course, we can't make everybody happy all the time because we're not.
Sorry.
Segue
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the next subject. Just recently, we put out a story. It was our lead story for Thursday. It was the tariff story concerning local coffee shops.
I love how you just said segue.
Yep.
There was no
I'm just,
segue. It was
I
like-
just, I just have to interrupt you guys. I have to
Segue.
go,
I think we're talking about
segue.
people making people happy or unhappy.
Gotcha.
because
I
of
was
the
going to say
story.
we can't make everybody happy all the
Listen,
time.
we
We're
did
not
not make
coffee.
we did not
We don't
make
make people
everyone
happy
happy
with the
on
tariff.
This,
Okay.
on this story.
All right.
I think most of the people that saw the headline or the post on Facebook didn't read the story because
No.
we have 63 comments under there, and it's just all regarding the Trump administration and how we are
National
so
politics.
one-sided, and this
Yeah.
is a liberal article,
We dare
and
to,
this,
we dare
this,
to
and
criticize
this.
dear leader.
Oh.
Sorry.
I mean,
Look, the tariff situation is very fluid right now. Some days we have them, some days, oh, we're going to do this. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to back this one off. We're going to do it. Yes, some countries are coming around, but some countries are saying, F you guys, we're not going to trade anything with you anymore. So there's a lot of that going on, and and this is going to be a long-term play. So if this is going to work, Trump has always been, the president has always been talking about the short-term pain for the long-term gain. I had a guy who I know and respect and trust, and he's involved in local markets and stuff, and he was just like, look, this is a long-term thing. This is what we need to do. We could not continue on with all these deficits. And I'm like, well, yeah, but tell me, Trump didn't have deficits. But anyway, I see what they're trying to do. It's just when you're trying to do this kind of a radical shift, it's gonna cause some disruption, and I think that's what the president's role is. I think he wants to be a disruptor. I think that's been his thing all along. The stuff with DOGE and cutting government waste and reducing, that stuff has all been needed for a long time. There are so many government jobs out there. There are a lot of crucial government jobs that have to be done. There's a lot of people out there who don't do diddly poo.
Just sitting back and
just sit in their little office
collecting
and
a
collect their
paycheck
6-figure
forever.
salary.
Yeah.
And so
And tariffs, are not good on our pocketbook, but on average, I was doing some research. It affects prices about 3%. No one wants to pay more for anything, but if there is a long-term gain, which, it's supposed to help with the deficit of, our national government. Of course, it makes the government money, which makes us money, I guess, in the long run, as far as, hopefully we won't be getting huge tax increases. But there is the immediate cost raise and possibility of inflation, and there's some downsides, but there's also some positives, I think, which, domestic goods aren't affected. So, of course, when you're looking at Shein and Temu or however the hell you say those things, you're going to have to pay more money. But maybe that leads you to a domestic producer. Maybe we need to find out who those are so that we know we can make, solid choices, educated choices when we're going to buy things. And I know that different income levels are affected at different, they're affected in
Rates.
different ways. Yeah, in different brackets, different, but it's an up and a down. And whoever hates Trump is going to hate the tariffs, and whoever likes Trump is probably going to see, the long-term game. But at the end of the day,
we don't really report on that.
We're not
what
reporting
we report
on it, yeah.
is the local effectiveness of that, and that's what this coffee tariff article had to do with. So some people, there was one person that commented, "Hey, so yeah, coffee reflects the health of our economy." No, the author used hot beverages like coffee because of the ingredients used in making those coffee drinks are generally sourced outside of the country.
Sure.
So that is why she used that example, to figure out how it is affected locally.
Right.
So for those that are saying, hey, why haven't you, or where, let me just real quick. Brandon Cook, where were you in a hole? Were you in a hole the last 4 years while we experienced record inflation levels? But sure, tariffs. And then he goes in to say how like some tariffs are being taken away, blah, 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 blah. In regards to that, it's we did do a lot of stories about inflation. Anytime we did stories in regards to like our local
High end prices.
bar and business
high egg
owners,
prices almost every time I was on camera.
that was under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
But you only see what you only want to see.
Sure,
So
yeah.
I promise you, we did cover those things.
Perception-driven agenda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, though, real quick. Cole Turwell. When is Muddy River going to write an article about how Trump virtually secured the southern border in like a week?
I think we
Even
should
when
go to the southern
Biden said
border
it was
check.
impossible, always dwelling on the negative. Well, when the southern border affects us locally, then maybe we'll find a story on that. But until that, we can't.
We talked about immigration. It's not like we're just ignoring things that happened prior to or now. I mean,
One more for you.
Yeah.
Rusty Wiley. Would be nice to see an article that promotes some of the positive changes that have come after the election. You do realize that the majority of your readership voted for change, right? It baffles me how the press ignores that and keeps on posting negativity. Do better. Give me an example of something positive locally that Trump has done, and then we'll cover a story
well,
on
this
that.
is what I was going to say. I think what people need to grasp is we are a local news source. So if you want to go off the rails with nasty comments, take it to Fox, CNN, take it to MSNBC. This is not the platform for it, nor should any of our local writers be bombasted because you can't take time to read an article or do your research.
Thank
and
you
I will
for
say
that.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine just sent me a text. Why are you running a left-leaning, Trump-hating, liberal, out-of-touch news organization? Wink. He obviously winked.
Oh, I was like,
and I'm going to say because
block him.
Because Governor Pritzker told me to. There, how's that? That's my
Oh,
answer.
God.
Oh, here we go.
That's
And see,
not...
and see, Bobby likes to stir the shit, so then we never really get out of the hole here. But I just want to remind everybody that local, if you need a definition, means round here, okay? It's round here. We are not nationally pro-tariff or anti-tariff. I think there are so many more important things to discuss here, which is how is it affecting us locally?
And I don't want to, also really attack, even though I did. It's like,
Name names, baby.
yeah, that's what we have to do, especially if you put your name out there. And I've put my name out there. She's put her name out there. And I'm pretty sure we've been pretty clear that we were pretty pro-Trump during this election. So to come back here and say we're so left-leaning, you've got two of the Trump supporters here that,
I mean, to be quite honest, I'm not in support of anything big government because I think it's all a sham. But if
and
I
we've
had
always
to
talked about
pick,
independent and
Yeah.
being independent, and I still stand by that too, but I had to pick one or the other, and that's the one I picked, so...
But this highlights more of the problem of you're reading a headline
And not-
making a decision and not a well-informed decision.
And then
you're
blasting
commenting,
it.
blasting people for something that you didn't do your homework on. So do better, okay?
Just read the story.
Yeah, do better.
Read the story. That's all we ask. So.
Yeah. Or don't, but don't comment if you're not going to.
Or don't. No, we want people to read. We
Yes.
want page views. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Facebook's great, but the object of the Facebook is to get you to Muddy River.
But if
News
you're not
or
gonna
Muddy
read,
River
shut your
Sports
mouth.
Or Muddy River TV. What she said.
Yeah.
So,
Also, real quick, too, shout out to Cheeks McGee, a.k.a. Ryan Christian.
yay.
He came in and commented on there doing, basically kind of explaining a little bit more into depth the EFB side of the story, wanted to give a good representation. And I think they do a phenomenal job. What he was mentioning was, they buy in bulk. They use U.S. farmers, too.
Yeah.
Is one of the things that might differentiate them from other
Sure.
places, because they're able to buy in bulk that way.
Right.
I'm not saying this is the answer, this is the end, but I did read the article thoroughly, and every single owner was basically saying we haven't seen a huge impact yet.
No.
Right.
It was all a yet.
That's what I mean.
So
Well-
like for everyone to be like, oh,
Everybody
they
wants to be up in arms.
read it though. They literally said they're not that impacted
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Keyword. Yeah.
Well, and nobody knows what's going to happen. I think it's just everybody is either a critical supporter or critical critic of Trump. So it doesn't matter what you say; they're immediately going to take the side that they've been on since day one. Doesn't matter that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the article says. They're just going to comment on their overall political agenda, which is
And-
crap.
Yes, we're gonna get our point made. Your point doesn't matter as long as I say what I want to say, because I'm not going to deviate from that. I'm right on it. So, speaking of, you mentioned independent a while ago. You guys did, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that right after this.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
What have you been missing on Muddy River Gems? You won't believe your eyes. My crew and I have been bringing you stories for more than 20 years on PBS and now Muddy River News. And we're just getting started.
Start singing.
Okay, so the song was by Webby. I thought it was Lil
What song?
Webby.
Webby.
The one I was singing before, where it's INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means?
Independent. That's a really long word to spell in a song. I wonder how many hits that chart topper got.
I don't know, but it definitely played a lot,
Yeah.
because it's in my head anytime I hear the word independent.
Well, I don't think we'll have to worry about paying any BMI or ASCAP fees, because I don't think that.
Oh, I don't- I don't-
My beautiful
I don't
rendition of
level
Happy
to her
Birthday.
singing.
Happy birthday's fine. You can
Okay.
sing happy birthday.
Really?
That's public domain. There's
Oh
no-
yeah, Lil Webby
no
has
about that.
not been around for
No.
Webby. Sorry, Webby.
Maybe he'll get some
He's not
good
been
hits.
around for
You
maybe.
you get 5 seconds worth of anything.
Oh,
5
really?
seconds.
Ah!
Sounds like
took a long time.
Sounds like I was gonna say somebody's honeymoon, but I didn't want to offend anybody. So
5 seconds? Yours? Are you?
no, not mine. God no.
Oh.
I was gonna
Poor
throw out
St.
somebody's
Ellen.
name. I was gonna throw out somebody's name.
Shoot, now we have to
I'm
start
like,
all
I can't
over.
do
Oh, sorry,
that.
Ellen.
No, God no.
That's
you kidding?
hilarious.
Okay, why are we talking about independent though?
Because on
Is
Sunday,
that horsepower? Hang on. I'm so confused.
You-
Guys,
you
this
betcha.
has gone
You
off
betcha,
the
baby.
rails.
Because on Sunday, our independent mayor will be sworn in.
Whoop, whoop.
On Thursday, Mike Trope presided over his last city council meeting. So she is being sworn in a special ceremony they're doing in Washington Park on Sunday. And then on Monday, she will walk into City Hall as the mayor, and she will preside over the city council meetings.
Yeah.
So, real quick, Washington Park on Sunday. The public is invited to be there. She's invited everyone and said
world.
The world. No, she's invited all of Quincy, the surrounding area, just the public in general. You're invited to bring your own food, your own drinks, your lawn chairs. There will be food trucks and entertainment there. I was telling Bob on the Morning Muddy show that it sounds like Blues in the Park, but just political style.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and the weather's supposed to be great. And one of the other things we talked about was the weather for the weekend, and it's supposed to be just fantastic.
Wait, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All this front and stuff came through early, so
All
I think we're in
right.
good shape.
Is that the first kind of inauguration that we've had like that?
I believe so. Yeah, I think normally they just show up in the chambers and go, "I do solemnly swear," and boring and stuff.
Womp womp.
But womp womp. Yeah, no, this is cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a neat thing, and you know, whether you want to be a curmudgeon or a fuddy-dud or whatever, it is historic. She is our first female mayor. It's a big deal. And
Do you remember when you?
She's also the first independent mayor. Let's not forget that.
That's yeah.
So more,
Double
I'm not,
whammy.
yeah, it's a really, really momentous
And stop dismissing
occasion.
it.
I think it's okay to celebrate it, but not to use it against this until you see what she's going to do. Give her a chance, right?
Yeah.
Also, I
Give her
think
100
this
days
is
to fill
really,
those potholes.
I
really,
also
really
think
cool.
celebrate it. It's crazy that we celebrate everything else,
Yeah.
but this time we can't celebrate this. That's a
Yeah.
little
I mean, Hannibal
conspicuous to
had
me.
a female mayor like 40 years ago. So
Yeah, I just learned that.
Lillian Herman.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah.
Right now we're
Well,
congratulating Dr.
Perhaps
Linda
even more
Moore.
important than the gender or the party is the fact that she's bringing it to the public, which I think is very, very cool. So
Totally
rather
agree.
than being a stuffy,
Behind
closed
closed doors.
off mayor, it seems like her level of transparency has already far exceeded what we've seen in the recent past. So I think that's what myself especially, and a lot of people that I talk to, Brittany and of course Bob, we want transparency in local government. We don't really think that, well, I don't want to speak for everybody else. I know Brittany and I agree, but party politics in a local government really doesn't have a place. So
Totally agree.
yeah, so this is big time. This is big
Speaking
stuff.
of which, what was the second to last meeting that?
Penultimate.
So in his penultimate meeting, Trope was the mayor that was able to pass the budget for the next year. He was also the mayor that gave the tying vote, tie-breaking vote in regards to the
library.
library. And I called it a bailout, but Bob corrected me. Some people still might call it a bailout, but you budgeted something, you needed more money, and the city reflects on it. I know that this was a really controversial vote because a lot of people do the, I know I'm going to be labeled as like a book Nazi or something, but the virtue signaling behind the library. And I personally, I love the library myself.
Yeah.
But the other day it was posed a question just in the newsroom. How often do you use the library? And Bob was telling David, I use it for the used bookstore, which I do the same thing too.
Yeah.
How often do I use it for my child? In the summer when I can get there. But you know what? Half of the reason is so I can go there to smell it and get my
nostalgia.
Yeah, because she has access to everything on
Yeah.
her tablet. And at the same time, I understand the whole paper
Yeah, I love
feeling
a
of paper.
book.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I sometimes buy a lot of books that I shouldn't. And I understand that that's not an option for everyone, and renting books is. But an option for everyone that I feel like is more and more lately is access to those tablets that have
Yeah.
books everywhere. So to say that you're closing off books to people that don't have access.
We're not trying to ban books, guys,
is,
okay?
is untrue. But I don't think that maybe close. Originally, they were asking for $425,000, close to $500,000 of our city's money.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't be invested in something that is nostalgic.
I certainly agree that they should tighten their belts and live within their means and all that stuff. And I think that next year they're going to have some tough decisions to make because the conversation right now is, do they just break off and become their own self-sustaining entity with their own library tax,
Yeah.
which they could vote, the public could vote on and make happen, or the city could just continue collecting.
When would they vote on that?
It would probably be whenever they were, probably next spring would be the soonest time they could. But then until that time, then they're just always going to get the city levy. And they will just get the money from the city, and the city could just say, hey, this is what you are guaranteed by statute, this is all you're getting. And I think that's probably what's going to end up happening in the not too distant future. It's like, look, this is where you're going to get. So
Also, yearly operations.
Did they give that?
Well, I just kind of did some research on
you?
it. Yeah, because I was interested, and I think they have around 35 employees. How many employees does Muddy River News have?
full-time, like 6, 7.
Okay.
We have 8 people total
I
around
think,
here.
I
no,
think
you
if we
count-
can
no, we
run
probably got
this,
12. When
I
you
think
count
if we
people,
can run this
part-timers and
majestic
stuff.
organization
Yes,
with
we are
8
majestic.
people, we could probably maybe
But
cut some of that at the library. And I'm not
to the
suggesting,
library's
but I'm just
defense,
saying.
they're 20. They're still 20. They are 20 employees down than they were
Are they all
20
full?
Yeah,
do they have
but-
full-time positions or are these part-time
both.
positions?
They have both.
Oh, wow. My big thing with that, though, in regards outside of take out the virtue signaling of the library and this, and this, party politics. What did that go into play with this vote? You saw our conservative mayor who was very concerned about party politics and being a conservative, make that tie-breaking vote to give them and grant them the money, and then after that, he kind of washes his hands of it because now it's on to the next mayor to have to deal with that.
Which is, Dave and I were talking about this in the newsroom. We've talked about this several times. It's just goofy that the incoming mayor gets saddled with the outgoing mayor's budget. And
is this always a thing?
it's just the way it is. I mean,
so it always happens.
Yeah,
Why?
Well, because that's just how the cycle works. Because we have our elections at certain times. Our budget is set up for a certain cycle. Our
Isn't
the
it funny
city's
that
fiscal
these
year.
rules just got made up somewhere and now they don't
it's
really
been
make
going on
sense?
forever.
I
But
get it.
why can't we change them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a state. I don't know if the city finances are a state statute thing that has to go to the state, or the city could say, let's change our fiscal year so our fiscal year starts in August or something. I mean, every entity that we deal with governmentally wise, they all seem to operate on different fiscal year cycles. The county's budget cycle starts in December. The school district's budget cycle starts in July. Park district's February, I think.
I don't know.
It's just goofy.
He's the book.
I just think
I'm old. I've been
if
doing
there's
this a long time.
opportunity for improvement, you could probably look into that. And I
Also-
have no doubt that
And
our
I
new
think
mayor will
a
do that.
6 month, if you could just do it again. There's no opportune time. Again, this is the second time. I mean, I had Schultz. I mean, it's happened a lot of time. But when an incumbent has been beaten, I've had times where when Hagstrom retired and then Schultz won, that was Pete. I mean, they're same party. That was all well and good. Then when Schultz retired and Spring came in, same thing. But now we had when Spring lost and Moore came in, and now Kyle Moore, and then when now that Trope lost and Linda Moore's coming in, you've got changes in party, or lack of a party in Linda's case. So the outgoing mayor could be a jerk and try to gum up some works. I know that did not happen.
No, because that was not a conservative move, was that? I want to go back to party politics and conservative. Wouldn't the conservative move be to conservatively not spend? So when we're going on and on about party politics, your last strike was not a conservative strike.
Especially when we have how much of our bucket for city is being borrowed against for Broadway.
And that's
It
only the
seems
first
like-
block, too. What
yeah.
if we get, was that the first block, or did I misunderstand that? So that our
The
city budget is
sewage.
being...
Oh, for Broadway? Yeah,
Yes.
this is just one segment. There's many more segments to
to
go,
go.
on Broadway.
And now we're down to $2 million is a reserve in
And
our
I keep
general
hearing,
fund.
oh, this amount of money would only do this much. Yeah, well, $5 isn't a whole lot either, but a lot of $5 is. So if we continue looking at a budget like, well, but this would only do this amount, and we only have this much, and you can't get much done with that. Well, okay, so I guess just blow it all on things that we don't even have appropriate,
Well, we definitely need the pipes for the sewer
Yeah.
apocalypse.
Oof.
But we don't have the reserve for it, I don't think. Because again, that was one block. What's to say that happens on the next or the couple blocks leading towards that? And
How come
if
it's
it's
not
all
this-
connected, is that going to blow up
For years, the city has decided. You've had multiple administrations who have not wanted to raise property taxes and want to cut property taxes is for purely political reasons. And what they should have done is either left them flat or slightly increased them, because the value is going to go up, because the EAV is going to go up. And if they had just kept the rate flat, the levy would be much higher. They'd have much more money. But they've always tried to make the political move. We're going to cut taxes and look like the good guy doing this, but we're going to jack your trash fees. We're going to jack your water fees. We're going to do this, that, and the other.
and ignore the sewer apocalypse that is coming upon us?
Yeah.
Now it's hitting us, honestly.
Yeah.
If
we're swimming in it.
Yeah,
No.
but if 4 of your $6 million goes to one block of Broadway, how else is this gonna go about? We are gonna be swimming in it.
I was trying to be funny, but then I thought about it, looked over at Randy, and he was like,
It is.
Randy lives in the boonies and has a well or
Yeah.
whatever.
Got a
He's fine.
cesspool.
Cesspool,
He's good.
septic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
used
just
to it.
We're
that's
all
gross.
gonna be boony living here
Yeah.
shortly.
I could put
I think it was
Hey.
a really strange move, just to bring it back. I think it was a strange move on his behalf. I think it was I don't think anybody could have predicted it. I'm not sure.
You couldn't predict the eroding pipes beneath
No.
us?
I'm talking about his vote to tie break.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
That took me through a loop. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, conservative Mayor Mike Trope.
But I think maybe it was like his last like big stamp of
But
whatever.
do you think, did he do this to F you, Linda? Or did he do this
I would hope
to,
not.
or did he do this to, I mean, he's got a lot of,
He's got grandkids. Maybe they utilize the library. Maybe everybody has different things. I don't know.
You
Yeah,
guys
I don't
shared a mayordom for a day. You should be able to just ask him this question.
they hid everything from me that day, if you don't remember. There were emails sent out to all their staff that said, hide your everything.
Hide your kids, hide your
your
wife.
kids.
Yeah,
hide
take
your
your
wife,
kids, take
hide
your
your
kids'
husband.
pictures off the desk, and let's pretend like we
Like,
have
hide this
nothing
big bulletin
here.
board full of funky face printouts and your butt printouts from the
And
printer.
if you think I'm lying, that is
All the screenshots of Brittany Bowl on your bulletin board, take them down.
No, but they were told to hide things, and I stand by that. I've got lots of proof of that.
Woo. Well, I think regardless of all of this funny business we've been talking about,
Maybe
Linda Moore
Linda will
is-
let me be mayor for a day again.
I'm sure
Sure
she will.
Yes.
She's going to be fantastic. I have no doubt. Even, hearing her speak just off the cuff, it seems like, and that maybe that's just my perception, she must spend all of her free time just digging into what Quincy is, what we can be, the rules that are, the rules that can be. It just seems like everything that she talks about is she's so intelligent.
Why are
but-
you shaking your head?
Because
I see you shaking your
the
head.
girl power here is
That's
just
not it.
overwhelming.
Oh,
No.
you can't handle it.
Listen,
Handle the girl power.
Listen, if Trope would have done this, I would have said the same
Same.
thing about him. So
Same.
to put it on being a female is totally
That's where you take
disrespectful.
away from the
Yeah.
celebration.
Yeah,
of-
Very
that's my
disrespectful.
yes. This has nothing. I don't think it has anything to do with her woman. I think it has to do with her financial acumen,
Yeah.
her experience, and again, her ability to.
This is
no,
you backpedaling.
No,
Yep.
shut up.
Yep.
I've never read anything I've written or said. I've
I
never
know.
played
I
the
know
woman
that was
card.
just off the cuff, and it was being funny, and then I
Yeah,
totally threw it
and then
back in
you-
your
You
face.
never backpedal?
Yeah.
Oh, sometimes I have.
I would
to,
hope
but
so. Like every good person should.
I have to sometimes, but not all the time.
Every three of you that I just called out, I hope you think about what you said on the comments
Yeah.
earlier.
Good
Well,
luck with
and
that.
some people just don't, and those are people that it's like the old curmudgeons that never change their views no matter what they learn or how they just are stuck in their ways, and that's okay too.
Oh man,
But
I had a
it's-
certain I won't say it, never mind. I had a certain somebody that was a older person who is no longer on, and they ran into me and they asked me what my thoughts were on the mayor's vote. And I gave them my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I was like, what about you, Mr. Conservative, Mr. Party Politics? And that person actually voted opposite, of conservative values, I guess. It was if the way you look at it. 'Cause
So they voted for library funding?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, let me ask you about party politics,
Yeah.
Mr. Sir. And then also he went on to say he was very supportive of Mayor Mike Trope. And a lot of the aldermen, went one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, and you didn't get reelected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that goes, so they can vote, if they've learned something that they think they need to vote this way or that way, fine, but we're calling you out.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So next week,
Hang on, I want to ask a fun question to wrap this up. Okay. Sure. So I was listening to a podcast, and they were like, if you could, anybody famous that you could, okay, because I love these, how I love these things.
hate these.
I
need
love
you to start
them.
looking something up.
All right. So if you could spend a day with anyone famous, past, present,
Linda
anyone.
Moore, I want to be mayor for a day.
Okay, good answer. I don't know if that's going to get you any brownie points, but we'll work on it. But if you could spend a day with anyone famous,
Bill Clinton.
I knew.
oh my gosh, you're so funny. That is so predictable.
I think it'd be fascinating.
yours,
I think it'd
Ashley?
be fascinating.
Bob Goff. I'm kidding.
Oh.
No, talk about brownie points.
And now
No.
she's on
Yeah.
for another 5 years.
Right, right, right.
Congratulations on your new 5-year contract.
Yeah, no, I think it would be Bobby Kennedy Jr. I really just want to pick his brain and see what's going on.
You should have our friend Megan Redshaw take you
Yes.
to D.C. for a weekend.
Yeah, I saw her post. Congratulations to her. I think that's incredible. But I just want to know kind of where he stands on things, and not to even be political, but he seems like a very intelligent guy who's got it all together, and I just kind of want to sit down and chat with him. So
I
that's
kind
it.
of
Kind
agree.
boring.
No, I don't think that's boring. I think I would agree with you on
Yeah.
that one too.
Yeah.
Like I would like
Do you
to.
think mine was boring?
Now, if I could be
like,
anybody.
can you imagine you two together?
Oh my
he
God.
smokes cigars. I don't know. He's had so many health problems. I don't know if he smokes cigars anymore.
He probably would just for you.
I was like,
Yeah.
Mr. President, would you please
As soon as
smoke
you
a
did
cigar with
your
me?
impression,
Mr. President, would you
yeah,
please smoke a
he would do
cigar
it.
with me?
Now, if I could be someone for a day, I want to be somebody like super famous, not for the fame, but just to see how they live, see what's going on. I just want to
Be
see
somebody.
Who would it be?
Yeah. Like I would want to be like a Jen Aniston or somebody for a day, just to see what it's like to like walk in, or like
But
a
Jen
famous
Aniston,
comedian.
Jen Aniston now or Jen Aniston Friends
Doesn't
era?
matter.
Oh,
She's
I'm
an
saying
icon.
Jen Aniston Friends,
Friends,
era.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
seems
yeah.
so stressful. Friends era
Sure,
at
yeah.
your height.
Yeah.
Joe Buck calling Super Bowl.
Okay.
One day.
I want
Yeah.
everybody to have my haircut. You know, the Jen Aniston.
Yeah.
All right, Joe Buck. Who?
Joe
Calling
Buck
the
calling
Super
a
Bowl.
Super Bowl. The
Oh, okay.
broadcaster, Joe
Okay.
Buck. I'd like to call a Super Bowl one day. That would be my
That
ultimate.
would be your ultimate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Game 7 of the World Series, either or.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah. What about you? You going
just
with Jen
said.
Aniston?
she said,
Yeah.
Jen- okay. All right.
But
cool.
Friends
She's got the
style.
hair.
But friend style. Yeah. Yeah.
You got the
Randy,
hair.
you got any input?
Look at my bobblehead there.
Sammy Hagar.
Sammy
Oh,
Hagar,
okay.
Randy.
Yes.
Sammy Hagar,
I guess
Randy.
I probably could have guessed that. Yeah.
Our great producer. Thank you, Randy, for producing these
Yeah,
great
thank
Club
you.
Mighties lately.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For Randy.
Let's
Yay
hear it for Randy.
Randy.
Yay for our fourth birthday.
Happy fourth
Cheers to making it
Randy
to our
sucks.
fifth. Yeah.
Randy sucks.
Yeah.
Randy sucks.
Cheers to
Randy
making it to our
sucks.
fifth birthday, and thank you to everybody
willing.
who supported us along the way.
We might,
We
uh,
hope that you continue. Yeah.
Frankie and the Clits might not let us get to a 5th birthday.
Oh,
but we'll see
yes,
what
they
happens.
will.
But if you want to advertise, call me.
Later.